Ohio gozaimasu, Minasan. I'm back and I'm shaved. Much better, I think. It's good to be back, especially with it warming up to just being civilized and not barbaric by shaving my face instead of letting hair grow on it. Anyway, so we're going to move on to the last chapter. It's not the last thing because there's an epilogue after it, but this is the last big chapter of the reason for God. And so we're almost done. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about it and, then talk about the thing tomorrow. And I don't know what I'll do to end out the rest of the week, but we'll see what I can think of. So today's chapter is all about the dance of God, is what Tim Keller calls it. And the dance of God is his idea of trying to say that Christianity is not a static faith, right? It's always moving. It's always changing, but not in the sense that truths are changing, just that the faith itself has changed, and that we aren't, as Christians, we aren't called to be static, right? And he talks about the idea of this whole creative order being a dance. And this actually isn't his original idea. This actually goes all the way back to it is ancient kind of, but to the early church. And the way that a lot of the philosophers and theologians would talk about God in the Trinity, but also in general, they would use the term for choreography. And so it is kind of seeing this idea that God dances in the sense that it is a dynamic thing, right? It's going on, and we are called to kind of join in this dance. And so he starts from, and Tim Keller, again, because this is the kind of the end of his book, so he wants to make sure that everyone's getting the message, right? He calls out and he says, well, we have the beginning of the dance, which is creation, right? And the triune God, and that God wants a relationship with us, right? Because God himself is in relationship, the Trinity. And from there, we see the fall and how the dance is interrupted. But then with the resurrection, we see how, and the cross, we see how the dance has come back. And the dance goes on into the future. And that the whole time, humanity plays an important role in all of this, right? It's not like humanity is on the sidelines, or it's not like humanity is trying to become God. He is very clear that that's not what we try to do, and that's not what we're trying to do as Christians, right? We can't become God, but we play an active role in creation and in the future. So if you read Revelation, you see that we play a really important role in the future, right? Ruling alongside God in this new heaven and new earth, right? So we play an important role. And I'm going to read something that he brings up, and I think this is why this concept is so important. So Tim Keller writes, "It is hard to overemphasize the uniqueness of this vision. Outside of the Bible, no other major religious faith holds out any hope or even interest in the restoration of perfect shalom. Shalom means peace, justice, and wholeness in this material world. Vinith Ramchandra, a Sri Lankan Christian writer, can see this very clearly. All other religions, he says, offer as salvation some form of liberation from ordinary humanness. Salvation is seen as an escape from the shackles of individuality and physical embodiment into some kind of transcendent spiritual existence." And I think that's really good that he's able to point out how Christianity is different from everything else, right? That humanity plays a really central role in the Christian faith, and that God wants to be in relationship with us. Now, if you do comparative religions or world religions or whatever, you understand that claim is actually unique to Christianity. And I think that Vinod Ramchandra's response is a good one, right? That many of the other faiths, whether it's more Eastern, like dharmic faiths like Hinduism and Buddhism, where the goal is to move away from the whole, world, right? To transcend the world, or even if it's other Abrahamic religions like Islam, where the goal is to work so hard that you enter into paradise and you're not a human anymore in any significant way. You still have human needs and urges, but you're not a human. You've transcended that. And Christianity wants to say, no, we are human. It's important that you're human, but you're also in relationship with God, right? And so it's very unique. And so his last call is obviously, so where do we go from here? Well, we need to try and get as many people in this dance as possible. And that, in the end, like, this world is broken, but it will be made right. So the dance will continue on into eternity. So I think that's a really cool way of thinking about God and ending his book. We're not quite done yet because we have the epilogue tomorrow, but I will see you then to talk about it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Stay cool. It seems like it's going to be a scorcher out there. Take care.